guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for Arrow Season 2, Episode 13, Heir to the Demon. And I love this episode. This is definitely my favorite episode of the season, and there's a lot that happened in this episode. This episode was a lot different than the other ones we've been getting, because you know how the other ones, they've been focusing a lot on Roy and Brother Blood and everything. And this one did too, but there wasn't any Roy in the episode. And I love how Arrow can completely do, like, one episode and then they do complete opposite the next episode. And in this one, we really got a glimpse into Sarah's past, and we saw more of what Sarah's been doing all this time, and I really enjoyed seeing that, because usually the way Arrow works, you have plot A is Oliver defeating the big bad, and whoever's working with him. Plot B is either Laurel, Moira, or Roy, someone like that. And then plot C is the island flashback. This one was not like that at all. This one was completely different. And now let's just get into this amazing episode, which was definitely my favorite of the season, because it was really, really good. So we open up at Starling City Airport. We see Nisa Radico. She arrives when her name is flagged by Argus guards approach her, but she takes them all out and heads on her way. So then Oliver gets a call from Quentin and hurries to the hospital, where he finds Quentin and Dinah with Laurel. And she's being treated with her apparent overdose, though she insists she did not take any pills. The whole episode she's like, I did not overdose, I did not overdose, I didn't overdose. And they don't believe her. So in the Arrow Cave, we see Sara there, and Oliver's trying to convince Sara to stay for Laurel's sake, but Sara refuses because the League of Assassins is looking for her, and Quentin also wants Sara to stay, but Sara reiterates the party line when they meet. So then the Arrow is about to confront Sara when Nisa appears, and Sara watches her warily before Nisa kisses her. So is this to imply that Sara is bisexual? Because we know she likes Oliver. So, I don't know. But the Arrow steps forward after the reunion, and Nisa introduces herself as the daughter of Ra's al Ghul. Yeah, so her name is actually Talia al Ghul. So Sara asks the Arrow to trust her before speaking with Nisa alone. Nisa wants Sara to return, but Sara can't take the killing anymore. Nisa, though, no, she wants Sara back, but realizes Sara no longer loves her. So Sara wants Nisa to ask Roz to free her from the League. Nisa declines. So Laurel's blood tests negative for pills, meaning she actually didn't overdose, which I was actually surprised about, because I was for sure that the reason that Laurel was taking those pills was because she was eventually going to overdose. So I'm still thinking she eventually will overdose, and that's going to be the finale, is that Laurel's going to overdose, because I don't think things are going to get better for her, because things aren't really getting better for her. So that's what happens there, and the plot thickens. And basically we find out she didn't overdose, she was actually poisoned. So, that's what actually happened to Laurel. She did not overdose, she was poisoned. I thought that was a great twist. I really enjoyed that, and I thought that was fantastic. That was a really, really, really great twist. Really shocking as well. I didn't expect that, and I really enjoyed that as well. I thought that was great. So, the plot thickens as Dinah is then kidnapped. And once Dinah's kidnapped, the Arrow and Canary, they follow the van with Dinah in it, but it gets away after an intense chase. Nisa gives Sara one day to choose between her and her mother, and Sara, the Arrow, and Quentin attempt to take one of Nisa's croonies hostage to find out where Dinah is, but he kills himself rather than talk. Sara is forced to agree to return to Nanda Parbat, but she's got an ace up her sleeve, the poison used on Laurel. So Oliver, meanwhile, is worried about Sara killing Nisa, as it would bring the wrath of Ra's al Ghul down on Starling, so he tracks her. So Sara and Quentin arrive at the docks, and Sara briefly reunites with Dinah before stepping toward Nisa, but she stumbles, and Nisa realizes that Sara poisoned herself. And I thought Sara was actually going to die in this episode, but then I thought, wait a minute, she was just introduced. They're not going to kill her. They're not going to bring her back just to kill her off. So Nisa knocks Quentin out after he attacks her, but the Arrow arrives in time to save Dinah. An archer battle ensues, though the Arrow takes the upper hand when the fight turns hard, hand to hand. Sara asks him not to kill Nisa, then collapses. The Arrow hurries to give the antidote. Sara revives and begs Nyssa no more killing. Nyssa then releases Sara from the League just as the police and Laurel arrive on the scene. Back at the Lance house, this made me hate, and I mean hate, Laurel's character. Like, sometimes I can tolerate a character. This scene, though, made me hate her. We see Laurel and everything, and Laurel is furious at Sara. For some reason, she's blaming Sara for every single thing that's gone wrong. And she's shouting at her, and she says, leave. And, I mean, really good acting from Kate Cassidy. I mean, she's a really great actress. But that scene really made me dislike Laurel. Because, I mean, we really have not seen Laurel this upset. Like, since she thought that, since she thought the Arrow killed Tommy. That's the last time we thought this. We saw her really, really upset. And I was really surprised that this happened, and honestly, that was really bad for Laurel's character. Like, you did not have to do that. You did not have to blame, let's think about this. Your sister was just away for a bunch of days, and now she's back because she's back to help you, and now you're gonna yell at her. That is not a good thing to me. I think it's a horrible thing, and I think that was definitely my least favorite part of the episode, was Laurel's yelling at Sara. Then we get a pretty big twist with Sara and Oliver, because Sara finds Oliver in the Arrow Cave, and where he's taking out his own anger on a training dummy. When Oliver asks what's next, Sara says she's home, and those two actually end up having sex, which I was very surprised about, because as we know, Oliver and Felicity have a lot of chemistry, so when Felicity finds out about this, she is not going to be happy at all. This is making me think that they're going to get Oliver and Sara back together, which should be interesting to see. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. So I really enjoyed the main plot with Sara. I thought it was a very strong main plot. We also found out some things about, we also got to see some flashbacks about her and Laurel. So let's just go to those. So because we didn't get any island flashbacks in this episode, instead we kind of got to look at the Lance family 6 years ago, and they were happy, and what was cool about it was you know how most of the shows are really dark and everything. This really made you feel more happy and everything, and a lot of these scenes were really, really happy. We see that they were happy and whole when Sara surprises her family for a visit, though she's planning a secret rendezvous with Oliver, because as we know, Sara at the time was secretly with Oliver, and Laurel was also with Oliver, so, because as we know, Oliver was not really a good guy in the beginning. So that night, Laurel tells Sara she and Oliver are planning to look for apartments together. Sara points out that Oliver may never be ready to settle down. This upsets Laurel, and their arguments push Sara past her doubts to join Oliver on the Queen's Gambit. And after the news, after the boat going down, Moira has to tell the Lances that Sara was on board as well, and they all grieve together. Because if you remember, they all thought she was dead at this point. So I thought that was also really strong that we got to find out more about Laurel and Sara as sisters. I thought that was definitely one of the strongest things of the episode, and I really enjoyed that a lot. So now let's go to Moira's campaign, which was really, really great. I really like that this plot is coming into effect, and I also like that Felicity was involved, because Felicity didn't have a lot to do on the last episode, and she did on this one. So Moira is set to announce her candidacy for mayor. Felicity tells Walter that there was a wire transfer made from Tempest, Moira's offshore account from the previous year, to an account in Starling, and Walter says he'll talk to Moira. So that night, Felicity approaches Moira, knowing that Walter was lying. Felicity looked into the wire transfer herself. She tracked the money to Moira's OB and made the connection between Malcolm and Thea. So Felicity wants Moira to tell Oliver, but in a super manipulative moment, Moira plays on Felicity's feelings for Oliver and tells her that part of him will always hate her if she tells him. So later, after Brother Blood and Oliver amicably cut political ties, Moira confronts Blood. He advises her to drop out of the campaign so he doesn't have to destroy his friend's money, but Moira warns him not to underestimate her. So the next day, Oliver confronts Felicity about why she's been acting off and exchanging looks with his mother, and Felicity tells him that her father abandoned her and that she's terrified of losing someone important to her again, and she doesn't tell him really about the campaign because, again, she thinks that the bond between them is not going to be good. So Oliver's called upon to introduce his mother, and I really like the speech he gave. The speech he gave to his mother, as he visibly struggles with what he say. As to what he says, Moira realizes Felicity told him. That was definitely really, really big. And finally, Oliver tells the assembled crowd that they don't know what his mother is capable of, and when it comes to telling the people that Starling is a good save, and Moira announces her campaign. I thought that scene with Oliver giving a speech, definitely Stephen Moira gave a great performance in that scene. That was really, really great. We see Slade then catches the announcement and declares that he's taking on his matters into his own hands. Then that night, Oliver confronts Moira. He's upset because he supported her through everything. When Moira says she was protected Oliver and Thea from Malcolm, Oliver retorts that Moira's just a liar, and she's made Oliver a liar too, since Thea can never know. Oliver then cuts ties with his mother. He'll keep up public appearances, but in private, they're done. So he just completely disowned his mother. Which was really a big shocker. I thought definitely the person to blame for all this really is, Moira is really the person to blame for this, because Felicity told Oliver, and, Oliver was just really upset that his mother still went with the campaign, so, what's gonna happen between Oliver and Moira? They're not on good terms now. It should be interesting to see what happens there. Also, what's gonna happen with Felicity when she finds out that Sara and Oliver had sex? What's gonna happen there? Do you think that they're going to get closer and closer finding out that brother blood is, that Sebastian is brother blood? I think they are getting a little bit closer to that. Did you like this episode? In my opinion, again, best episode of the season. Really, really powerful, especially with the scenes between Sara and Oliver. Especially the one where it looked like Sara was going to die. That was a really amazing scene. That's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review of the Tomorrow People. So see you then. Bye.